Hey guys, welcome back, it's Ripe again. In today's video, a ridiculous entitled Karen mom assaults me after I refuse to give her young child my firearm. Here is what happened, let's dive right into the video. The title story starts like this. So listen up, I know that America believes in the right to carry and the right to bear arms and all that good stuff. But let me tell you, there's a reason for that. In today's world, you gotta make sure that you're on your toes for when some unsuspecting person wants to take your freedom away. This just happened to me a while back after I had a great day at my private shooting range here in good old Eminence, Missouri. Boy, do I love my town. I was born and raised here, and there's no way in hell I would ever step foot in some other anti-gun toting state. Here in Missouri we get it done. I can pack and never have to worry about some peckerwood asking for my license when I'm shopping down at the local Piggly Wiggly or Dollar General. However, I never thought in a million years that someone would have the audacity to show up at my property and raise hell. Nope, honestly, these people are ruthless and that's why I always carry. Given the state of mind most people are in these days, you bet your britches that those Clint Eastwood movies are the real deal. These guys don't play around, so when I get an unsuspecting Karen at my front door of my shooting range one day, I almost wasted her for trespassing on private property. I've heard of stories about that before. Basically, some people just show up and all hell breaks loose because they thought it was okay to walk around someone's yard with special access to the main road or some BS like that. What I come to find out is that these people just want to ruffle your feathers a little. This all went down on a Saturday afternoon. I had just put away my AR-15 rifle, but realized that I had not finished cleaning it. So I go back to my porch out front and sit in my favorite easy chair with my special cleaning cloth. As I am minding my own business, I hear this car pull up in the distance. Now, my home is situated on private land and I have a shooting range out back. It's all built up with concrete and wood so that it helps to block out the noise from my neighbors. They don't like it at all that much, but I told them it was safe and that it was okay. But for some reason, when I heard this car pull up, I did not know what to expect. I thought to myself, maybe my neighbors must have told some people in town that my shooting range was public. I do know that there was a billboard as you come into town, all advertising for a gun range just a few miles up the road. However, I had no idea that any person would just show up on my property thinking that this was it. Besides, there was nothing showcasing that I had a gun range. The range was hidden out back and my house was pretty secluded, but I did have a gun replica the size of Mount Rushmore sitting outside on my lawn nestled nicely under my mailbox. And then there was the Molon Lape and Got Ammo sign that I painted and placed nicely near my eastern red cedar tree near the driveway. So why the hell would some Karen show up on my property and think that this was some free carnival ride for would-be gun enthusiasts? And to top it all off, she brought her kid as well. I almost fell out of my seat when they pulled up in their shiny black SUV. The small kid runs out and starts playing cops and robbers, pointing a fake finger gun at the car and my house. The mom was all decked out in fancy boots and she looked like June Cleaver on a bad day. I mumbled to myself and put away my AR-15. I was not done cleaning it, so I got a little mad. But worse, this Dumbo just trespassed on my property. I was about to call the cops, but she starts talking all nice and polite to me in this nice southeastern Missouri accent. And boy, do I got a thing for southeast Missouri chicks. I hesitated when she comes up to me and starts sweet-talking me, making comments about my gun sign I made and how nice my property looked. "Is this gun range advertised?" she asked. "No, this is my property. The gun range is down the road about 5 miles. I start to get a little nervous, honestly. She then takes off her pink vest and pulls her hair back. "Well, what is that in your hand? Is that an AR-15? I love those." I just stared at her, wondering what she was up to. "Yes, it is. I just got it recently, matter of fact. I like to shoot it out back." She pointed to the house. "You got yourself a nice big house here. You're all alone?" She reached into her pockets and pulled out a piece of paper. It was a flyer for the gun range down the road. "Yep, just me. I like it out here. Suits me well. Now, can I ask you to..." But before I could even finish the sentence, she starts walking on my porch and picking up my lawn ornaments. "I like these," she said, and then she proceeds to get a little closer to me and starts flirting with me a little bit. "I like a man who can take care of himself. And yeah, I'm sorry for coming up on your property. Little Aiden over there just wanted to tag along today. He likes to play with guns, toy guns that is, but I like mine big, guns that is." I was thinking maybe she was getting a little too close for comfort, but in a way, I kind of liked it. She started chasing her kid around and pretending to hold a small gun in her hand. I just wish I had more space to shoot myself. I come from a smaller town, but the folks up there don't like the noise, she added. What about you? You said you like to shoot it out back. You mind showing me how you handle that AR-15? I hesitated and just looked at her. Well, here's the thing. What was your name, by the way? I asked. It's Colleen. I started again. Well, Colleen, I get that you like guns and all, and seeing here that this is my property and you are nice, I would not mind showing you my shooting range. And then, as if a kid came down on Christmas to see Santa, she starts getting all excited and jumps up in the air. No way! You got a gun range back there? I hesitated again. Well, yeah, it's my property, you know. I can do anything I pretty much want on it. She starts running Aiden around again, and he points a fake finger gun at me and yells, "Bang bang!" I laugh a little under my breath, but I nod to her. I tell you what, I got a squirt gun out back I can give to little Aiden here. He can keep it if he likes it. She then points a fake finger gun at me, bang bang, and starts laughing. I like your big gun though. She smiled and winks. Alright, let's go around back, I said. This is where it kind of gets crazy, and believe me, to all the parents out there in the world today, please keep your kids safe. There should not be any shenanigans when it comes to firearms, but this chick really wanted to play rough. So we go back behind my house and I show her my gun range. She loved it, but she also loved some other things, and that was my gun. I lay down my AR-15 and she has the audacity to go over and start handling it. Now I was thinking I wish she would have handled something else instead of my gun, if you know what I mean. However, she picks that sucker up and starts pointing it all around, pretending to be Bonnie from Bonnie and Clyde. I'm thinking, this chick is nuts. I put my hands up and say, whoa, hold on there. And then she proceeds to say, can Aiden hold it? Now, I know that some moms can be crazy, but this one here was a little too far gone. Come again? I ask. Can Aiden have it? You know, to play with it? She starts raising her voice. I say, hell no, that's an AR-15 rifle. Your boy could get himself killed. And then she proceeds to start walking around me like I'm some sort of criminal for not letting her son handle a loaded weapon. Let alone an AR-15 rifle, for crying out loud. I quip back, Colleen, you need to get the hell off my property now. I was gonna be nice to you and maybe let you handle my AR-15 and shoot it a little, but now you have pissed me off. What the hell do you think this is? Letting a kid handle a loaded weapon? I don't know where you come from, but you need to leave ASAP. She looks at me with dead eyes and flat out says, no. She then keeps prancing around me, shaking her booty and pointing a fake finger gun at me. I thought she might be on something. That's when I pull out my cell phone and snatch the AR-15 in case she decided to get loco. Get out now, I yelled, before I call the cops. She then stops in her tracks and picks up Aiden. He starts bawling his eyes out. I thought it was all a show until he did that. Can you believe this chick was serious? Wow, some people. When I thought she was gonna walk away, just then she starts comforting her little son and then turns her back on me. I told you to leave, and now look what you have done. And then she turns around and slaps me on the face. What the hell are you doing? I yelled. I then stepped back and held the gun tight. I did not want her doing anything crazier. I called the cops and start telling them the story. She starts coming up to me pretending to point a fake gun at me again and all, and acts like she's gonna hit me again. I keep stepping back, not wanting to lose my cool. This chick was crazy, I tell you. She would not even leave my property. I go around the side of my house to make sure my arsenal is all locked up. I did not want her stealing anything. She then goes to her SUV, but by the time she pulls out, the cops block her in on the driveway. They tell her to put her hands up like it's some sort of heist or something. I start laughing under my breath. For a minute, I thought this chick was gonna start doing something even more crazy, but she ended up in the slammer for assault and trespassing on private property. A few months later, I read in the local news that she was up to no good again. It turns out that Colleen is not even her real name. After that incident, I locked away my guns and did not shoot anything for a while. The range sat there collecting dust for a while, and I then got back the nerve to start shooting again. This time though, I was prepared. I built a heavy-duty fence around my property and took away all the gun signs in my yard. I was not gonna let some crazy-ass chick ruin my life again. Then I cut out the mugshot that I found of her on the internet and used it as target practice. Don't tread on me. And yeah, Ripe Stars, I originally found this story on r/today I effed up, and as you know, the stories there are slightly more humorous and I suppose a little bit more embellished than usual stories on Reddit, so please let me know whether you enjoy this subreddit or not. I for one sometimes enjoy these stories because they are usually not as serious and dark as other ones that we often read. Either way, let me know your opinion in the comments, and the next one is a revenge story. I've written before about the good grocery store where I worked in high school, so we had a couple of bad customers and a lot of senile seniors, but it was well run with a great manager. The one I worked at for one summer in college was the bad place. It was 1994 in a chain grocery store with a truly awful manager who was straight out of business school. He was also the regional office director's son, so he was Teflon. Which I suppose means that any criticism he just reflects. Anything that went wrong got pinned on an assistant manager and or hushed up at the regional level. Awful had managed to install his mistress as one of the assistant managers. I only saw her in the store twice, and both times she was shopping. One of the times she did not even pay. Awful manager paid no attention to people's time constraints. We had a bunch of teenagers there who were attending summer school, but he did not care. He scheduled however he wanted and left us to swap shifts among ourselves. I also personally saw him tell one girl that she would have to miss school because he needed her on shift and she could not find coverage. Crazy illegal. He did not care about legalities though. Awful's belief was that if the computer would accept it, then it was fine. It was the early days of computerized payroll, so the system would take literally anything with no checks whatsoever. He made the teenagers work hours they legally couldn't. I'm talking too late too early and lots of overtime. If they complained, he threatened to fire them. That was his answer to everything. And work was not easy to come by in that area. There were teenagers in tears because he wouldn't let them take time for family vacations, or they were being forced to miss tests at school. One guy was fired because he went to his sister's wedding. He had warned Awful manager about it months in advance, and it was a holiday weekend, so nobody could swap. Awful manager was very rarely, if ever, in the store his entire shift. He would clock in, get the few really important things done, and then he would leave. He would come back in the middle of his shift to do the bank deposits and then be gone again until it was time to clock out. He assigned all his work to the latest Fall Guy assistant manager or other random employees. If he was the only manager on duty, he would leave his badge for overrides on the desk in the office so we could grab it when needed to override register errors. All of this was massively against company policy. I mentioned in a previous post how National was pretty obsessed with mystery shopper reports and got them directly from the company that did that stuff. We would get all kind of conflicting instructions because National edicts based on those and our regional director's policies would differ. Always fun. What I didn't mention was mystery shoppers were trivial to spot. They would go straight to the bakery to price out a special order cake and then not buy it, complain about the price or ask any of the normal questions. They also went to the bathroom, the fish counter, asked for a price check and made us unring something they decided they didn't want during checkout. There were other things on the list, but those are the obvious ones I will remember all these years later. My last week at this crap show before I headed back to college, I spotted a blatant mystery shopper complete with notepad. Awful had bugged out shortly after open, the mistress was probably busy screwing him, the other assistant manager had been fired for the last colossal screw-up, and the only other cashier on shift was at lunch. It was pretty dead as it was late morning, so no big deal, except that I decided it was time for this crap show to get reported for what it was. So when Mystery came up with her price check item, I forgot to hit the price check button and rang it up for real. Whoops, time to get the manager's override badge. I overrode it and then I tossed that bad boy so hard it went all the way across the manager's desk and down into the sea of cables behind it in the corner. Whoops, I'm quite sure that if you went to the tapes, this looked incredibly intentional. It was my last week, you could count the Fs I gave on no hands. Somewhere around this time, the other cashier, we will call her Jenny, got back from her lunch break and I informed her that crap was about to get real. She might want to go home sick if she wanted some cover, but nah, Jenny giggled and wanted a front row seat. Besides, the lunch rush was coming, we had a construction area nearby and a lot of the guys came for the prepared foods for a cheap hot lunch. We started to get the lunch rush and more of a crowd by the time Mystery made it up to my register to check out. Of course, she needed me to unring something for her checklist, so I flipped on the Help Me Obi-Wan light. Nothing happened. I called for Awful Manager over the intercom by manager first name last name. Jenny caught on real fast and told me to just go get the badge from the office. Awful first name last name must be doing the money drop or something. I pointed out to Jenny that was against company policy. She rolled her eyes and told me that's what Awful first name last name had said to do. Now, where was that override badge? I headed up to the office and made a good show of looking for it. Called down to Jenny, asking if she had it, but nope. Jenny abandoned the big order she was ringing up and came up to the little office to give a cursory look around. This is where the whole story took a turn that I had not gamed out yet. See, I was just gonna give Mystery a very bad visit with many violations to report. There would have been an embarrassing reaming from National and possibly even an investigation. Jenny had other plans though. Jenny was going nuclear. Jenny apologized to the mystery shopper, but she was going to have to get in Jenny's line now. I could not void the transaction or log in to 2 registers at once, so I was going to help her pack it up and Jenny would get to Mystery as soon as she could. Now this is somewhat BS. While true as stated, we all knew how to unplug the registers to get them to reset and lock us out. It was a dumb hack, but it worked. The thing was, there was almost zero chance Awful or Mystery knew that. Mystery must have loved her mystery shopping gig because she was the most cheerful screwed over customer you ever did see. She smiled, assured us everything was fine, and scribbled in her notebook the whole time. Literally, while I am loading up Mystery's card at my register, Jenny accidentally rang up a gallon of milk about 6 times. Whoops, no override card, no manager, no head cashier with any power either. Cost-saving cuts there, the Awful Manager made early in his days before I arrived. We apologized profusely to the customers, but explained that we had no idea where Awful Manager was. Offered to check in the back. Sent a beggar out to check the lot in case Awful Manager was on a smoke break, but no joy. As this fiasco rolled on, we had a lot of very unhappy customers on our hands and the downright giddy Mystery who stayed to the bitter end. We were demanded to call a manager. We had tried all of Awful Manager's known numbers. Who's above him? Oh, that's Regional. We were not allowed to call them. Very strict instructions, true and very against company policy from manager first name last name. But we can give you their number. Phone's right over there. Many took advantage. We also got yelled at a lot, but in spite of some sympathy for the customers, we were loving every second of it. Regional took about 2 hours to get somebody down to the store who could clear the registers. Nobody else in the store had permission on their system. Awful still hadn't shown up. Regional dude overrode the registers, but by then the damage was done. We had missed the whole lunch rush, no hot food was sold, our metrics for the day were gonna be unbelievably crappy. Regional dude was on the phone frantically trying to figure out how to cover this mess up for his boss, Awful's father, and decided to blame it on a computer outage. I think they intentionally broke some equipment to help sell that story. Awful rolled in after I clocked out, but I'm told Regional dude was still there doing Awful Manager's job. Awful was unbearable for the next couple days, but I had a foot out the door already. Jenny, it turned out, simply did not care because she had been doing the work of a head cashier without the pay. It took a few weeks for the fallout to happen, and you bet I kept in touch with Jenny to find that out. From this point, I only know what Jenny told me as I was back in college a few states away. A few weeks later, an audit team from National came down to investigate. The mystery shopper story had not lined up with the computer outage story and something was obviously hinky. They dug into the books and found all the labor violations for minors working overtime and too early or too late. Interviewed the employees and found out about the scheduling during school time problems. Also manager absenteeism, no vacation being allowed, and also that the store was constantly short-staffed. No crap, people ran for the hills as soon as they got anything else. Finally, that an assistant manager was on payroll full-time, but nobody had ever seen her work. She clocked in and out within seconds of AM every shift he worked, but was never there. Them dots ain't hard to connect. I don't know if they covered up all the labor violations or not, probably that would have caused massive fines. I was too young to know to report them, however Awful, his father and his mistress all got fired or resigned quietly. The store reportedly went back to being pretty functional after that, Jenny got a better job and left within the year. I never worked retail again. And here, ripe stars, honestly, I can very much understand OP here. After a workplace situation like this, I would have gotten PTSD or something. In general, I have a lot of respect for people that work in retail because you simply already have to work with so many entitled customers, and then on top of that, if you have to deal with entitled awful managers and bosses, that makes the situation even worse. So props for OP that he survived this, and let's hope that his next job will be much better. And without any entitled douchebags, of course. And with this, we have reached the end of the video. However, if you cannot get enough of my content, please check out my endless playlist, where you can find thousands of hours of content. In addition, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel to not miss any of my daily uploads. Thank you so much in advance, and I hope to see you again tomorrow.